it still goes back to what my grandma said, and she said, basket making isn't a hobby, it's a way of life. And so I think about that with all natural fiber weaving. It is a way of life. Cedar is a medicine that helps out of emotional, mental, spiritual, and physical, the four aspects of humanness. Then cedar helps you if you have challenges or triumphs when it comes to physical limitations or triumphs in that way. And when are we most vulnerable? But when we're sleeping. We're very, very vulnerable. That's when your body is resting and you go into that dream state and you need that medicine to protect your body. And they're also used, like what we had made it for, Naakniiganke, is feast mat, which feeds you physically. And so the food is offered from the earth, right, directly on her, and then the mat, and then the food on top of that. And that's what nourishes you and takes care of you physically. So everyone got to make an individual mat, probably to place a copper cup or something like that on it, and kind of practice at how we're going to create the big Naakniiganke or feast mat. This is going to outlive us. This is going to be around long enough for your family to inherit, or maybe it'll go with you.
This was actually my first time ever weaving, or really making anything with my hands, and it was a pretty incredible experience because you're connecting with something so much deeper than yourself, and something that spans just so much longer than I can even think of, because, you know, it's just beyond my lifetime. It's like what our ancestors did. And being connected to it in this kind of way, especially when I was doing it during immersion, and the people were speaking the language as I'm weaving, so it's just really incredible. And it just takes you to this other place that transcends time and space, and makes you feel really connected to your heritage and our culture.
Beamsko Webadon, Sapapi San, Beamsko Webadon, and Mage Jagnash Moen Twine. Now, Bejik Etta, Kiishik Anagek, oh, Maba Naakniiganke, Mampi, Tet, Aha, Nasa, Aha, Naakniiganke Sabapis. Gittay Beamsko Webadon, Maba Naakniiganke, Gittay.
And my mat! It took a lot of effort to build. And it still has a few holes, but still it's perfect. We're using this for special occasions.
I talk about stirring up blood memory all the time, and the people that came together, some of them got really addicted to it. They really liked it and enjoyed it, and they kept coming back. So each time that we had a gathering, and there were 3 main gatherings where they were making their Naakniiganke, the little mat, and getting their skills down, and then towards the end we had honed it down to the last 20 or so people that were the hardcore weavers that really were enjoying it, and they couldn't wait until we met again.
These right here, these pieces are the warp. So they're lining them up, getting the warp all ready and lined up. And I think she wants to do it about 3.5 feet or so, something like that. Is that what she said? Once we get all the warp ends that we'll need, and then we will. I'm not sure if we'll start with the selvage. She kind of talked about that, but I'm not positive.
It kind of sounded like
Didn't
that's
it?
what she wanted.
Do the selvage first, and that kind of makes sense, I guess, because you have to have everything placed so that it's not going to move. You know, all these fibers as we start to put the weft in and weave the weft in. So we're just getting the warp lined up right now.
Ways that bark wants to be, you know. So if you're going with the bark and doing what it wants, then it's pretty similar.
After the outer bark is teared away from the inner bark and peeled away, then the inner bark can be split many times. It has lots and lots of layers to it. So just like wigwas or birch bark that has lots of little paper layers, or basswood that has lots of little paper layers, if you know how to get at it, you can peel it away and peel it away. So after the bark had been seasoned for a whole year, I taught them how to split it, which was a little challenging. It's like splitting black ash, and if you're not used to it, then, you know. So it all got split, and then we sized it by cutting it. Cutting. Lots of prepare. Lots of cutting. And cutting all the pieces so that they're basically the same, and then we laid them out, and it's under 2 over 2, under 2 over 2, and in a variegated way, so that's called a twill weave.
Whoever's finishing that up needs to sit right here and finish it, because I'm going to make a decision: under 1, under 2, over 1, over 2, and then the rest of the weave is just under, over 2, the niche.
Oh, okay.
By 2. The lead weaver makes the decision.
Okay.
How?
Yeah.
So you stun if you get lost in there, count back 4 and do the next one as the 4th one down. Because the pattern repeats itself every 4. We're not doing anything fancy. We're not putting, we're just going to do a 12. So here's our first one. So I started by over 1, over 2. You got oil on?
No.
And I'll take it down this far.
Okay. Oh,
And then-
then someone here.
Then you're gonna finish it.
Because if you understand the beginning and the ending of a particular project, then the middle all just falls together. But if you don't set it up correctly with the right amount of numbers and with the right outlay and plan laid up ahead of time, then it's just not going to work out very well for you. You'll have all kinds of issues along the way. Historically, before contact, we weren't sleeping like directly on the ground. We had little racks that we would use to sleep on, and you put bough down and you lay the cedar bark mat down, and then you can put the rest of your bedding down, and that's where you sleep. Everything is connected in some way, shape, or form, and it's so evident in so many aspects of our life, but this was one way for us to come together as a people to create these feast mats that can be used by anybody in the community. There are certain rules, I suppose, and that is it's not a table covering, so it's not to be on a table, but right on the ground where traditional feasts usually take place. And in that aspect, we make those feasts so that our ancestors can come and enjoy the food with us, and they'll recognize what's going on, because there'll be things during their time on Earth that they'll be able to recognize. Oh, there's still Native people in the Anishinaabe doing the old ways, and they'll come and be part of that. And I think that's kind of part of the blood memory that kind of stirred up inside of the people.
So this part right here that we're doing is the twining. It's not the weaving, but it's to secure the rough edges here. So what I'm doing is I have 2 strands here, and one goes over and one goes under each piece. And then when you switch to a new piece, you twist it so that now the one that was over is going under, and the one that was under is now going over. So it's like a figure 8. And then make sure that it's tight to the edge of the mat, that all of these pieces are tight together, that all of these pieces are tight together, so that it holds it all in place.
So I'm starting it off, right? So the pattern starts off as either like under 1, and then you go over 2, under 2. So this first one is under 1, the second one is under 2, then you go over 1, over 2. So that's your first pattern, and then
after that, it's just over 1 or over 2, under 2, all the way. So that's how it is.
So it was all very, very exciting the way everything came together. If you try and plan some of those things, it doesn't always work out in the same way. But when it does work out in a good way, what we say in a good way, then that tells me that the community was ready and that it was time for this to actually happen. Perhaps not a lot had changed. Our hands and our bodies were going through the same motions, but the feeling behind what we were doing and why we were doing it, absolutely the same. And that is what felt so good, and I think the reason why so many people kept coming back. Going back and recognizing the tree for the gifts that it has to offer, and putting that sema down and spending all of that time with the fiber and sizing it up and getting to know that tree both in life and what it's left for us to use. All of that feeling goes into that mat, and I think that people will understand eventually. That's how we make our medicine work again, is that we've got to bring these old ways back. There's a place for it.
So you're welcome to try and learn that song. And when we're working, especially when we're working as a community, it's good to sing that song together. It helps us get in all one mindset. And what that song said is, life is really good today while we're making this mat. Good.